welcome to another review. This time I will be reviewing two eye pencils from Lacura Beauty, and I'm talking about their eyebrow pencil and their Kohl Eyeliner. Both of these pencils are sold, to my knowledge, exclusively at Aldi grocery stores, and they retail for €2.49. In terms of packaging, they come in this box and they all come with a sharpener, which is actually really good and sharp. And the pencils have at one hand the pencil itself, and at the other end either a small brush like the eyebrow pencil does, or a small smudger like all the Kohl eyeliners do. I have the Kohl eyeliner Bright Eyes. I'm not really sure that you're able to read that. And I know that they have several shades available. I believe they have a classic black and brown, and I know for sure they have a green and a blue, and then they have this brightening one. So as I was saying, the eyeliner comes with a pencil on the one end and then a smudger. This is a sponge tip smudger at the other end. And while this smudger may come in handy for the other darker shades, like the blue or the green or the black, I find that it is pretty much useless for this shade because this is a shade that nobody would apply on top of their eyelid to emphasize their eyelashes. This is most definitely a brightening shade, like the name implies, and this is something that is supposed to be applied on your waterline to give you that impression of wider awake and larger eyes. So in terms of the shade, I don't know if you can see the swatch there. This is just one passing. It's a mid-tone beige tone. So let me do a couple more. As you can see, when you build it up like I did right here, it almost works up to this bronzy shade. In terms of creaminess, it is okay, but it's just not the creamiest product ever. And as you can see, it's not extremely pigmented in one passing. Like if you really want to get it to show up, you have to pass a couple of times. And that is one of the biggest problems that I have with this pencil, because I find that when I apply it to my inner rim, because of its deficiency combination, I guess I could say, where it is not terribly pigmented and not terribly creamy and also not a very light shade, what it does is that it does okay in neutralizing any kind of redness I may have on my waterline, but it does not really brighten my eyes. At best, it gives me a pretty neutral look on the waterline, but it's nothing really dramatic. And at the same time, because it's not as creamy and it does not apply with full pigmentation in one passing, this is not a product that I find myself reaching for a lot, because it's not really comfortable for me with my sensitive eyes to do a lot of passings over my waterline. Somehow that tends to irritate my eyes even more, and I start getting these really watery eyes, and the huge amount of tears that I produce that way pretty much ends up ruining my entire eye makeup. So I don't use this pencil a lot because I don't think it's very good at what it's supposed to do. But maybe it's worth mentioning that I do not find that I get an immediate reaction to this product, meaning that if I just apply it once on my waterline, it doesn't irritate my eyes. I don't think it is any ingredient of this pencil in particular. I just think that the mechanical abuse that goes along with passing this over the waterline 3, 4, 5 times is what makes my admittedly very watery and very sensitive eyes react. Now with the eyebrow pencil, I admit that it was my bad, because if you see this label right here, it says blonde, and I'm definitely not a blonde. My hair is dark brown and my eyebrows tend to match that shade pretty well. Now having said that, I'm not particularly upset about that, because I did get this on sale for just €1, and they are still on sale in my local Aldi right now. Actually, all of these eye pencils, be they eyebrow pencils or eyeliners, are currently on sale in my local Aldi store for just €1. I think that it is easier to read on this pencil the shade blonde right here. And as I mentioned, this comes with a brush on the one end, and this is not a spoolie, this is just a pretty standard straight brush. But I find this to be very useful for combing my brows into shape. And I find that the inclusion of this brush makes this eyebrow pencil particularly good for use on the go. And then on the other end, it has the most interesting part, and that is obviously the eyebrow pencil itself. So let's go over to a swatch of the eyebrow pencil. This is one passing that is very, very subtle, but you can definitely build this up to get more color from it. At all rate, what you're getting is a pretty soft brown. And the nice thing about this is that the tone of this brown is actually more ashy. So I would call this neutral to cool toned, which is pretty hard to find in the drugstore. So in terms of creaminess, I don't have anything particularly critical to say about this. And for sure that also has to do with the fact that this pencil is meant to be used on the eyebrows, and that area is just not as prone to tucking on it and getting any kind of allergic reaction from that movement. So I have no complaints about that. I find that it lasts on my eyebrows very well. And if you remember, I had mentioned that I have dark brown hair and my eyebrows pretty much match that. So I would say that my eyebrows are pretty dark brown. The thing is that I have naturally rather thin eyebrows, and they're certainly very sparse, and they may be just a tad bit lighter in shade than my hair is, but the fact that they are so sparse and I cannot get them to grow any thicker because that is just the way they like to grow, combined with the fact that my skin tone is actually very light, means that if I do not fill in my brows, I get this look of barely there brows, or depending on the way that the light falls on my face, sometimes it even looks like I don't have any brows at all. And overall, my brows look a lot lighter than my hair, just because of that whole sparseness thing. So I pretty much always fill in my brows when I do my makeup, but I find that the most challenging part for me to fill in is the very end of the brow that starts from above the nose, because somehow when I use a dark brown, that tends to be pretty harsh against my skin, and it is okay because it gives me a lot of definition and a nice shape to the rest of my brow. But I find that in the area to the bridge of my nose, that sometimes can make a pretty harsh look. And obviously I have tried to use the product that I'm using to fill in, be it a pencil or cream eyeliner or eyeshadow or a brow gel. I have tried to use it more sparingly in that area so as to create this faded out effect, or rather a faded in effect, where my brow starts lighter towards the bridge of my nose and then gets darker towards the arch. But I have to admit that I have not always been very successful in doing so. And while this shade is definitely too light for the entirety of my brow, I find that it is actually very good to fill in just the very tip of my eyebrows, the part that is closest to the bridge of my nose. And the advantage of using a pencil for that is that it affords you a lot of control in defining the shape that you want to have there. So if you want your eyebrow to be very crisp and have it go, for example, very straight up, it is very easy to achieve that look with a pencil. And then I like the fact that this comes with the little brush, because I can go over with the little brush and then blend the front side of my eyebrow with the rest of my brow, and that creates a look that I find to be very flattering and quite natural looking. So if I were to give these eye pencils from Lacura Beauty grades, I would probably give the eyebrow pencil an 8.5, just because there's not a huge range of colors for this pencil, and maybe the pigmentation could be worked up just a little bit. Other than that, I find that it is a very good product for on the go. And I would also say that it is probably a very, very good product for blondes, just like the name says, that it is supposed to be used by blondes, because given that it is not the most pigmented eyebrow pencil out there, if you really have very light features, if your skin is very light and your eyebrows are very light and you're just looking for very subtle definition in the eyebrow area and you're going for a natural or no makeup look, this would probably be a very good option for you. As I said, with my dark brown eyebrows, I can still use it just on one portion of my eyebrows, but the staying power is nice and I don't have a lot of complaints about this pencil. Now with this eyeliner, and I will say that I have not tried any other eyeliners from Lacura Beauty other than this brightening one, so my grade only pertains to this specific one. I would probably give this one a 5, just because the smudge for this particular shade is useless. Sure, you can use it with other eyeliners, but that's a different story. I don't find that it is terribly pigmented. As I mentioned, this will barely neutralize any redness that you may have on your waterline. But I mean, you can make it work if you really want it to work, and the price is pretty affordable too. I will say that size-wise, these two Lacura Beauty eye pencils are okay. They are pretty much the size of a regular pen, as you see down here, and the size of the Kohl Eyeliner that you can buy from e.l.f., but they're a little bit shorter than an eyeliner from NYC. So I would say pretty standard size. I hope that this review was helpful. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye!